Uh, okay, wonderful. I think we all are here. We have a small group, so it'll be good. I think we can have a good conversation. So I think Annie is the only new person today joining. So for her, I think Annie, what we start with is a 10-minute silence. Uh, Basically, we just sit in, keep our eyes closed. The thoughts that come, just let them come. Try and see if you can um, just watch them come and go rather than engaging with your thoughts or trying to get identified with them. So let's start 10 minutes. I'll set the timer. Um, all right, super. So here we go. Okay, let's come out of it slowly. Let's give it a minute. Right. How's everybody feeling this morning?
Good morning, Guruji. Good morning, everyone. Though it's evening in India. Feeling good, nice, great.
I know we're meeting after a long time. It was a long break, 3 months. So usually during the
Yes,
winters, I take these 3 months off. How was everybody's um, last 3 months holiday? Was it good?
Holidays are all forgotten now. On
Forgotten.
to 2025.
Yeah. Back to the grind, right?
Yeah.
So this whole silence thing that we do, um, why do we do this? Let's start with that. I think, Annie, how did you feel with the silence meditation?
It was good. I closed my eyes and I started to hear different layers of sound because that's what happens when your vision goes. And
Right?
then my dog noticed it, so she walked over to me and laid down next to me because she sensed that I was relaxed. And she's still laying down next to me right now. And then I went to sort of this almost like falling asleep kind of state, but not asleep. Like, if I'm describing it
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So when you came out of it, does it make you feel centered and relaxed?
Yeah, I would say so. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the
Hmm.
whole purpose of silence is to bring you back to your center, right?
Hmm.
Silence, as I've said, is your original state of being. And what I prescribe for people is that if you start your day with about 10, 15 minutes in the morning, and then you end it, again, before you go to bed with 10, 15 minutes of silence, then what will happen, you'll start seeing the change in your life.
Hmm.
And the beauty is that you can do it anytime, anywhere, any place. You don't, you know, need anything to do. Like you don't have to have like proper clothes on, or you don't have to be in an environment or a setting. Wherever you
Hmm.
are, you can just sit and be in silence for, 10, 15 minutes. So, and the longer you do this, the more start with 10, 15 minutes, what'll start happening is that um, the body and the mind will want it more and more. So what happens with that is the more centered you get, the more, peaceful you get.
Hmm.
And as you want it more and more, and you start, extending the time, it becomes from 15 to 20 minutes, 20 to 25, you start seeing the changes. And that's just what this does. So this is a different kind of meditation that I found during my, journey and experience through this. I found this to be very powerful. I found this to be the most, I tried different techniques initially, but I found just sitting in silence to be um, completely different, complete different experience. So yeah, that's why we do it. I would recommend all of you. Uh, I know you guys have your daily grinds, but this is something that you guys should try and implement on a daily basis. Okay. Um, so what should we discuss today? I know some of you read the book, some of you read partially the book, some of you are yet to read it, and then I know Annie has not yet got um, the manuscript yet, so she has not read it. But the last 3 months, I've spent completing the book. The book now is in its final stages. It's the content is done. We're just finalizing the tutorials and then probably issue the final, manuscript to you guys to just read it once and that's it. Then it'll start start looking at publication and how do we distribute this information to others. So I think Poonam, Srinivas, Anil, Malini, whatever you guys have read, have you started implementing um, some of those things in there? Is the threefold path now become your, uh, has it become part of your lives or not yet?
Yes, Sri Ashish, a little bit. We are trying to get onto that track.
Okay, good. So I think the first, I think the first part on the threefold path is right understanding. So I think all of you are educated and a lot of you are scientific. So I think you all understand that if you don't have the right knowledge on any subject, then the decisions or the track that you take um, is not the correct one, right? So if you have wrong information about something, then your judgment or your decision about or taking action on something then tends to be wrong or tends to be not fully informed. So the threefold paths first, and I think the most important aspect of the threefold path is to have the right understanding. Um, and in the right understanding, if you all recall, I provided 5 main topics of discussion of clarifying any wrong perceptions that people may have. And I think the first one from that topic is non-duality. So, based on my journey, based on my experiences, I found that non-duality kind of answered, if you truly understand non-dualism or Advaita or non-duality, then that kind of answers all questions. Um, it kind of ticks off all the boxes. It kind of everything comes back to non-duality or non-dualism. Now, when you hear non-dualism, there's a lot out there. So I tried to simplify it. But for today's conversation, let's have a discussion on non-dualism. So after spending a lot of you spend a lot of time with me now, almost a couple of years. I know Anil spent the longest. So if I would ask you to describe non-dualism in 2 words, what would you say?
Oneness.
Okay, oneness.
And consciousness.
Okay, what else? Anybody
That's
else?
it for me.
Yes, that's for Anil. Anybody else?
Pure awareness.
Okay. Anybody else? Poonam, what does non-dual mean to you?
I believe oneness is describes it the best, the way Anilji said.
Okay. And what does oneness mean to you?
Oneness is okay. Non-dual is that there are no two things. If I explain, or in one
Yes,
word, that
correct. So
the
two
I
words,
and
yeah. So two words for non-dualism, remember, is no two.
no two.
Non-dual means no two, right? Simplified meaning. Forget about everything else about non-dualism. The pure word basically means no two, which means one, which is what oneness is. But what does oneness mean? If we say no two and oneness, but oneness of what?
We are all same. The universe, all of us, all human beings, animals, plants, anything, everything we see and don't see and feel, that is just all one part of one consciousness. So we are all like one consciousness, you know.
So if we are all part of one consciousness, or let's simplify it. It's if the starting point, as we call self or God or consciousness or universe, if we all one and the same, then why the differentiation?
That is what we need to understand and then know and then understand.
So if you truly understand non-dualism and you believe in non-dualism, then there is nothing else to understand,
Yes,
correct? If you believe
exactly.
oneness, then that's it. Nothing else to understand. If everything is one and the same, then everything else falls flat on its face because everything else is dual. The moment you start believing yourself as different, non-dualism go out of the window.
Yes. But then it's actually easier to read and know, and then difficult to believe, and even more difficult to practice, because we have been dual, triple, pata nahi kya kya we have been so many,
Right,
we feel that we are so unique and everything else is just outside of us. So that's how it occurs to me.
correct,
That we when we read, then it looks very fascinating, very good. Okay, we are able to do it for 10, 15, at least on that particular day. No remorse, no grudges, nothing about people, things, life. But the second day, at least this is happening to me, you know. So, but then I am again dual.
so when you have these emotions or these things happen, or feelings or mental agony, what do you do? Like, do you go back and center yourself and say, wait a minute, um, even what came to me, whatever happened, happened. Whether it was in the spur of the moment, whatever you said or did, whether you did or it happened to you, do you immediately then say, hey, wait a minute, but doesn't matter, whatever happened, happened, because we're all part of, we're all one, then, you know, the person who did it and the person who was on the receiving end is all still one and the same. So do you then go back and say, okay, whatever happened, happened, happened to the same thing. Let's forget about it.
So, okay, is that question again directed to me?
Yeah, so just this is a
Okay.
conversation, Poonam, but since
Yeah.
yeah,
So, as far as I'm concerned, I see, okay, I'm living in right now duality or whatever. I see myself. I don't see that universe is one. I've read about it. It's a good concept. I want to live in that concept and live in that thought. Uh, but it's not happening right now. So as far as I am concerned, I'm usually at the receiving end, and I'm not, and I do go for a moment, like, wo aata hai that I go for a moment. Okay, fine. This is like, we are non-dual, and this is a drama which is happening. I'm just a character in it, and this is this is the written script, and I need to see it from a distance. And but to reach that point also is at right now it's taking me a while. It's taking me a while, and I'm not still at that. So I do indulge. Maybe that's my pattern, you know. So
So it has to, so that's where the right understanding comes as a play, right, Poonam? Because if you've read it and it looks great, but you have to believe it.
hmm,
Because till you don't believe it with the same passion as you believe in duality and conviction, you will not then get to the next step of practicing, right? Because if you are faltered at the first end, then you'll say, okay, lovely, wonderful, great to read, great intellectual conversation, but I don't believe in it because I still see duality, I still live, right? And then what'll happen is that this just becomes another passing thing. So the most important thing, which is why I think the first chapter, or you truly need to probably read it constantly or many times, because it needs to sink in. It needs to become your lived reality. And
yep,
this is where it's just not you, it's 99.9% of the people faltered. Because if you don't have a question, right? Because then your self inquiry is a simple question. It becomes very easy because if you have non dualism and dualism, and you now have your self inquiry is now questioning that who am I? Am I the non dual reality, or am I the dual reality, or the perception of dualism, right? This
hmm,
question of self inquiry is only basically catering to this anomaly. The practice
yes,
of self inquiry, which is the first practice, right, which is the most prominent practice, or the whole search or the answer that we're looking for, every event, every experience, every action, every emotion, everything that's happening is looking for an answer for that wonderful universal question. At the end of the day, who am I? And the
hmm,
answer eventually must end up at I am. By constant questioning, the answer must end up at I am, because anything after I am is where dualism starts. If we all end up at the same answer, I am, then you've now crossed the barrier from dualism to non dualism. And eventually, then, if there was non dualism from day one, from starting point, then the question of dualism or non dualism also does not arise. And this is exactly how the threefold path has been designed. That's it. That's all this is. It is as simple as that. Now, the saving grace in all this is that however time it takes you, whether you know or don't know, whether you understand or don't understand, whether you practice or don't practice, the one saving grace that we all have is that that awareness, or I am, or pure consciousness, or oneness, or whatever you want to call it, X, that is always there, always present, always available. So that is the beauty, simplicity, and the saving grace of everything is that, look, even if today I don't get it, I don't have time, I'm not going to do it, that thing is there, always there. And that is the only thing which will always be there. It was there from the beginning, it is there now, it will be there tomorrow, it will be there day after tomorrow. So all you have to do is to sit in silence. This is why we practice, and center yourself back to that oneness.
Right. Thank you. Can I ask a funny question that's coming to my mind now?
Of course.
The one. Sometimes when we, all right, this is so funny. Sometimes when we are so centered, we lose the charm and the drama we enjoy in life. So,
So the what you have to do is here, when you are eventually you completely centered, that means that you now don't tend to get identified with the drama or get identified with your individuality. So when that connection or non-attachment is complete, what that then does is that you can still enjoy the drama, right? Fully, but with a knowing that whatever is happening and whatever will happen or whatever may or may not happen is all part of a dream drama. And that is just not an intellectual knowing. That comes with, um, basically you have a direct experience of that. So you now feel it. So when you feel it, you can be fully engaged in life. You can fully enjoy the dream drama, but you enjoy it for what it truly is and not what you're struggling with when you don't know it or when you have not experienced that. And that's the only difference. The only difference between, you and I or somebody who's had experience is the knowing and the unknowing. Because at the end of the day, the center part, which is the original state of being, you have it, I have it. It's one and the same. So the only thing is I know that it's there, and today you don't know it is there. Or I know it is always there, and you feel it in and out. That's the only difference.
wow, that has given, I mean, opened a lot of horizons for me. Thank you for answering this one. So the life and the drama is enjoy it. Wow, this is good.
Because you're meant to enjoy it. Why would you not enjoy? Which is where my saying comes: don't take life too seriously and don't take anything personally. That is what it means. So you enjoy life for what it is. Enjoy it. Enjoy every moment of it. Enjoy the sadness. Enjoy the laughter. Enjoy the happiness. Enjoy every emotion, because you know that at the end of the day, that emotion is not real. It's still in a dream. So who says you can't enjoy it? But enjoy it without attachment to it. Enjoy it for that moment, as long as it lasts. Enjoy it fully.
But
That's what it
Guruji,
means.
enjoy itself has no meaning in that sense.
So no, but in that sense, see, means you're still in the dream drama, right? Till you don't transcend it, Srinivas. And this is where I think Anil has had a lot of conversations with me on the threefold path between realization and transcendence. Realization is when you know it and you're in it. Transcendence is, as what you're saying now, Srinivas, is you're not in it anymore, because at that point, only the awareness remains. There's nothing else but aware of yourself. And then not even that, because reality, which is silent and still, has no need to be aware of itself. The only reason why it becomes aware of itself, becomes conscious in the beginning, is so that it can enjoy the dream drama. Otherwise, there's no real reason for reality, if it's non-dual, for it to be conscious of itself. And that's what transcendence means.
Yes, Sriyash. There is meaning in what you are saying.
Right? So,
Yes.
and once you transcend it, then you're gone. And you're not conscious of anything, which is like in deep sleep, right? The whole, in all the scriptures, where they do the comparison with deep sleep and transcendence, is that in deep sleep, you're not aware of anything. You're not aware of your mind, your body, the world, the universe, no dream drama, nothing. So, what the only difference between transcendence and deep sleep is, or realization and deep sleep is, that in deep sleep is like transcendence, not aware of anything. Realization is you're aware that it's a dream. That's the only difference.
That's a wonderful explanation, Sriyash. Yes.
So if you are here and you've been put on this for whatever reason, right? Might as well enjoy it. And this is where teachings of non-attachment come in, right? Because if you believe in oneness, then the action and the outcomes all are belonging to that oneness. That's where all of these teachings of non-attachment, self-inquiry, surrender, um, you know, meditation, in I am meditative, all of these all are one and the same. They all end up to the same thing. You're here, enjoy it. Don't take it seriously. Take it as a dream drama. It's whoever came up with that idea of the movie is wonderful because it's really like a movie. You go into the movie for entertainment, to enjoy. You thoroughly enjoy the movie. You get, you have all during those moments in different aspects in the movie, different moments in the movie. You get identified either with the character, whether the hero, with the heroine, with the villain, right? But the beauty is that the moment you come out of the movie, you say, hey, it was a wonderful movie. I had a great time. And that's it. You move on. That's exactly what this is. So bring that in your life, and all characters are the same. Everybody's the same. No differentiation. If you believe in oneness, then there is no differentiation. Everybody's playing a role and a part without knowing. Some know, some don't know. Which is why then compassion comes in, right? Why are people who know are known as overly being compassionate? Is because now we know. We know that this is a dream drama and we know that you don't know. So compassion kicks in. Why does a self-realized person have unconditional love towards all? For that reason. For that reason only, because we know that you don't know yet. Why do we say that for a jnani or for a knower of truth, there is no knower and seeker of truth? For him, there is only the truth. Is because now he knows that everybody else is only playing a character in the dream drama, because there is no differentiation between him and her, or him and him and I and God. All of that is dissolved. And that is what non-dualism does. Once you've got this oneness and you imbibe that and you live that with oneness, it automatically washes away everything else. Everything becomes unconditional because your original state of being is unconditioned. Conditioning is what creates the illusion or the idea of separation. Once you know, it's unconditional. Everything is unconditional at that point. Sorry, Annie, I saw your hand up. You had a question.
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to add to what you were comparing to the dream state to watching a movie. And I just thought about the fact that sometimes after I finish watching a movie, even though in the moment I'm very absorbed, but even after I finish the movie, I still have thoughts about the movie, right? So, sometimes I'll have some playbacks. Sometimes I'll think about maybe a dialogue in the movie or something that happened in the movie, and I'll realize something. You have these sort of afterthoughts, right? And I mean, for me, after I watch a movie, I like to even talk about it with somebody, to see what they thought about the movie, right? So I guess the comparison that you were saying is okay, you finish watching the movie and then you kind of transcend beyond that. Um, I find that to be probably not possible at this point. Um, and maybe that's not the best analogy, but I feel like I need to kind of go back into the dream state a little bit and then come back out and go back and then come back out, and so to
But
speak. That makes
yeah,
sense.
but I think, yeah, good, very good. So that's called what what I tell people is that this is where judgment and analysis should not come, right? Because you watch it for what it is, right? It was for entertainment. But there are certain aspects that you still get entangled with. You still want to have analysis on that. You want to provide discussions on that, right? But
Hmm.
even though you do that, at the end of the day, at the back of your mind, you know that was still a movie. There were certain
Oh yeah,
aspects of the movie that you wanted to, get clarification on, or maybe have a conversation,
sure.
for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, when you went in and you came out, you were fully aware that was a movie, right? So while
Yeah.
I'm here in this conversation and we're all having this conversation, I'm fully aware that at the end of the day, this is still a movie. As Srinivas said, what is the relevance of this conversation? If you know that there is only truth and there is no differentiation, and there's nothing going on, at the end of the day, it is still just a dream drama, then this whole conversation also is within that dream drama. So I know that.
Hmm.
So tomorrow, if I have one person or five people or 10 people, right, and what you've taken from this and go back, I tend to basically then forget about it and move on to whatever next comes. So I look at every moment of while I'm here in that sense. If somebody comes and wants to have a conversation and guidance on this, I provide that. If somebody wants to know something else, I provide that. But at the end of the day, I know that whether you know it or not, it's still eventually you will get there. Eventually you will open up, because at the end of the day, this whole cycle is nothing from starting to beginning. It's just that this pure awareness has become conscious of itself, has then started to dream, has then started to identify with its own dream, and eventually will find a way to basically understand it's a dream and then go back to its still and silent nature. That's all this is.
I like that. I think it's a good perspective.
Right? So yes, Poonam.
So, Guruji, I have a question.
Sure.
It was there in my mind. So, right, we have a glimpse of it. So there are people who have so much of health issues. You know, recently I had a client who was diagnosed with cancer. Now, that identification is there. Those people who are suffering, people who do not have, who can't see, who have, who are, you know, who have something or the other. So what message shall we give to them, and what how life seems to them? Um, it's such a pain. Okay, it is a deemed drama, but then in this drama there is so much of pain for them.
So again, I think it's important. So the pain is there now, right? And they are going through it. So at that point, it's very difficult for somebody to come out of it. So if today you go and say, look, this is all a dream drama, right? Um, Somebody who's going through the pain may not understand it, right? Immediately. But I think if they start with practices, right? There are certain practices that uh, to alleviate the suffering, right? And this is where the threefold path is, or any, like if you go through whether transcendental meditation or what different meditative, meditations are talking about, right? They're there to start with elevating and be able to deal with these. So remember, happiness and suffering will alternate. Pain and happiness and sadness, um, joy and pain. This is part of the dream drama.
Hmm.
The issue is how do you deal with um, these events when they come? And the key here is to be able to remain in the middle. Now, if you are not equipped or ready, now you go in this whole, swinger Sunday or the roller coaster of life because you get identified, right?
Hmm.
So this is where starting to understand and starting to get ready. So let me see if I can explain this better to you. So Ramanna had, was asked this once, right? And he explained it. So I don't know if you've one of the things we've done now, I think Manish had asked me one of the things to add. So Poonam, what you and Srinivas have read, we've actually added a chapter before the threefold path starts, before the right understanding, right practice, and right experience, which is a chapter on reality and illusion, right?
Hmm.
And one of the things that I've tried to um, explain in a simplified manner is how creation has actually come about, right?
Hmm.
How does this dream drama actually come about? And one of the things that um, you may have read from scriptures before is that nature basically swings between its three qualities or aspects or attributes, right? Which is in Hindi we call it sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic, right? Which is
Hmm.
positive, neutral, and negative. And everybody's life on this planet is swinging between either it's sattvic it's rajasic tamasic, or it's tamasic. So what Ramanna said is, look, this pendulum will happen. So don't get bothered by when you are in the tamasic,
Hmm.
with in the tamasic side. So
Hmm.
tamasic eventually will get to sattvic side. But when the sattvic side comes, try and hold on to that as much as possible.
Hmm.
Now, what that means is that get equipped get ready. Because even today in my life, even though I'm aware and right, events do happen that cause suffering, that cause issues. So it's not that when you become realize that the events and issues in the dream drama in the script will go away. What has changed is the way I react and the effect of those things that happen on me. That has completely changed.
Hmm.
So the only thing, you can't take away somebody's suffering because that's part of the script. They have to go
Hmm.
through it. Only thing is you can change their perspective about that suffering and how to then deal with that suffering.
Hmm.
That's the only thing you can do. So in this case, if you have a client who is going through suffering, then as you are able to explain, read, let them, have conversations. And through those conversations, maybe it will sink in
Hmm. Right.
because external circumstances, that's just part of the script. Nobody can change it.
Hmm.
Nothing. And remember this is also important because in India, especially, and even in eastern part of the world, now I find it, of course, in the western part of the world as well. This is whole astrology and, this thing that people are saying, hey, if you do this and, you come. And so astrology, yeah, you can read the stars to explain how the script will go through. But there is nobody who can change what is written in the script and what will happen. If somebody is telling you that, walk away from it very, very quickly. So that will happen. The like in the movie, right? Again, let's take the example of the movie. Now, let's say something's happening in the movie,
Hmm.
and we are really not liking that aspect of the movie. And we all want that maybe the next time when we come to see it, that aspect changes.
Hmm.
But the movie script is already written. The movie is the way it is written. How we want it or how we perceive it and how we want that to change, however much an analysis we do, that script will not change. So you have to then stop identifying with it and say, okay, it's a movie. It's there. Certain aspects of it are not nice, but it's the movie. You have to sit through it. So this is the only thing that you can do to help your client
Hmm.
or friend or whatever it is
Right.
to be able to explain that they have to have a change in perspective. And that can only come by understanding what this is all about and then them also practicing because if they don't experience the peace, if they don't experience the peace within the suffering,
Hmm.
they'll never get it. They'll never change.
This is such a nice, profound sentence you've spoken. Peace within the suffering. Wow.
Because that centering,
Hmm.
that awareness that we were talking about, the pure awareness and the pure consciousness, that's
Hmm.
always present for everybody. They just have to tap into it because they are wrongly identified with their circumstance. They've forgotten about that pureness that's already there, that oneness in there. And if they can just tap into that, then they will be able to find that this peace cannot be broken by any outward circumstances. And that then brings the strength. Then you start accepting that pain is just part of the process.
I think
Right.
the part of the problem is that we are conditioned for so many years in this ignorance of pain, pleasure, happiness, all these emotions. The body and mind are not able to go back to who we are. So we forget that. And this dirt on this pristine marble statue is so thick that it takes a while to sort of like think who we are. And that's why the suffering is there, and that's why the enjoyment is there. As a matter of fact, none of them exist. If you're non-attached, then none of this matters. This is a body that is suffering from cancer. This is a movie that I'm enjoying, but you as the pure consciousness is just seeing it as a movie, not taking it on yourself, because this is not you who's suffering. But it takes a while. That's why this practice is so critical. And my own experience is that you start to do this on a smaller things, verbal arguments, people saying something bad to you, or you get into an argument, or you have some kind of a setback. You can detach yourself from those smaller things. So that practice then becomes better and better. And when these bigger events happen, then I think you are more likely to kind of see it separate from that suffering or the setback. So it will take some time because the ignorance is so thick and we are conditioned so much from so many years of not knowing what we know now, at least the first chapter, what he talks about. It is not that easy. You can change people overnight. It will take some reconditioning for that state to come.
Yes, I agree, Anil sir. Exactly. Right. Thank you.
And one question I have, we started with this silence, and I will tell you yesterday's last night's experience. So I do meditate in the evening before going to bed. So yesterday I was kind of, and one thing you guys can also do, I have a Fitbit. And when you take and focus on your breathing, inspiration, expiration, and you just watch those breaths, your heart rate comes down, and you can see it for yourself. If you have a Fitbit or some other tracker, you can look at it. And when you are in really quiet, peaceful state, your heart rate will come down meaningfully, at least 10 points down from you started. Secondly, the question that I have is, and this is last night, for maybe 15 to 20 seconds, I felt nothing, absolutely nothing. It was just absolutely nothing. So when I got back to my original sort of state, the regular state, it was not very clear to me whether this was a deep sleep in meditation or was that a transcendence. How do we know what was it? But it was for 10, 15 seconds, absolutely nothingness.
So was there any awareness of it?
Only afterwards. Only afterwards. It was kind of, what happened here? But then I said, because in meditation, in silence, when you are sort of you sometimes you may nod off, right? You can sort of get sleepy also.
Yeah.
But the awareness of it happened only after. Then I said, what happened here? I mean, that was the thought that came. And then I was thinking, was it I was in deep sleep at that time? Or was it kind of beyond that state? Or what was it?
So So if you are so in realization, so my experience of first time when I had this, right? I was there was awareness of it, Anil. I had it in, if you recall, I had it in Pondicherry, right? And again, very, very small in the night. Um, but during that time, I was aware of that deep silence. Um, and when I came out of it, it um, means I had energy, which was like it had like rejuvenated, like I had tapped into a live wire, you can say. Um, the second couple of times that I had it was, in 2021, where again um, I was aware that the only thing I was aware of that I was just aware. There was nothing there. There was no um, awareness of mind or body, no thoughts, no body, no world, but the awareness of existence was there. Um, in deep sleep, you're not aware of your existence either, right? Now, having said that, tell me of how you felt when you came out.
No, I mean, I think it was just a profound peace and nothingness. I mean, I had the experience of nothingness, right?
Right.
And then I was more pleased when I actually looked at my Fitbit and said that, my heart rate has come down. Usually I maintain around 60, 62, 63. It had come down to 48. And that tells me objectively, physically, that the body was actually at a very kind of quiet state.
Yeah, and that's what
Um,
it is, Anil. So
yeah.
you experience something and you scientifically now you're a scientist, right? So you've got proof of it. And that's exactly what happens. Doesn't matter whether it was deep sleep or not. You tapped into your original state of being.
I mean, that's what I was suggesting to others also. I think, and you will see it. I mean, this is already kind of proven that when you have deep breaths, your whole body calms down, you relax. When you relax, your heart rate goes down. And you can sort of see it now at the time when you sit down for meditation. And when you are actually in deep meditation and you open your eyes and look at your Fitbit, you will see what your heart rate is and the difference. You will see the difference. And you start with, that's how I started with, right? With the deep breaths, right? And you just focus on that inhalation, exhalation, exhalation. And then all of a sudden, that awareness will go away. I mean, it happened yesterday to me. It just went away. I was just not aware of anything for a small amount of time. I was more happy when I just got up. Like, I looked at the Fitbit. I said, wow, 12 points down from my heart rate, regular heart rate. So I was happy with that.
Yeah, because you're not in that awareness, there's no breath either. Something else is keeping you alive. Whatever it is, something else is existent. Breath and thoughts are come from the same source, but that source is even beyond breath and thoughts, right? So and that's pure existence. There's no need for it to have any breath or thought to exist. And
I mean, at
that's
least the awareness was not there, I'm sure. I mean,
yeah.
the breaths were there.
What
Yeah.
I'm saying is that whether there was deep sleep or not, you tapped into something which you actually were able to scientifically register. And this is what this is about. This is where uh, if you have that now 24/7, your 15, 20 seconds can do it. But that's the power that you have. And the whole issue is that the ignorance and the bondage is that you believe you're limited while being unlimited.
If nothing else, I got encouraged that I should be doing more of it.
Of course. I mean, this is wonderful, Anil. You should do as much as possible. Hold on to that. Sit in that.
We
This
should
is,
rent a cave in Himalayas.
huh?
Anil.
What?
We should rent a cave in Himalayas.
Well, I wish that that would have helped Srinivas, because otherwise everybody would be renting a cave in Himalayas, right? The problem is that you still take your mind with you. If just we could all leave our minds behind at home and then go to the Himalayas. So that's the issue, is that the mind goes with you, right? So the same thoughts arise whether you're sitting in the Himalayas or not. And the
I
trick is
believe following this path, definitely one will reach a place where Anil is talking, Sri Ashish. That realization will come just like any learning, whether it is science or some play, a game. Like any skill, this skill also develops by following the path, is
Yes.
how I feel.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And remember that the truth has always been there, right? It's been written about from time immemorial, from the beginning. So the only thing that I've done in this book is to simplify it for today's day and age. I have not invented Sat. I mean, Sat has always been there. It'll always be there. Whether this, today there's a threefold path. Earlier there was an eightfold path by Buddha. Before that there was something else, and then something else, and then something else. So the only thing is that what I've done is in this path is I've walked through. I mean, one of the thing that's been done here is that I've done all the research work for you guys and tried to put it in a more simplified manner so it becomes accessible and more easy for somebody to follow and do, taking into account how the script is structured today. Because it's very difficult for somebody today to pick up, even if you take Nirvan Shatakam, right? Means to be able to understand, Adi Shankaracharya or Jesus Christ or Buddha or, Guru Nanak or, um, Mahavir Jain or, uh, the Hindu, all of these scriptures that we have, which have so much knowledge, they all point and talk about the truth. But one of the things that, this was a conversation I was having with Sandeep yesterday, because, he got a bit, aggressive in saying that, look, you think that you know everything, but there are other people who know. And what I was trying to explain to him yesterday was, yeah, it's all there. But today, when you look at the scriptures, they all point, but none of them have actually been able to explain in simple form that the end goal and purpose of all those scriptures is to have a realization that those scriptures are actually a waste of time. There's nothing really to be learned. But that realization has to go through a process. So and I think I've told this to you, Srinivas, that self-realization is to realize that there is nothing to realize. And what that means is that the whole game is about that middle realization. And that only comes through going through the cycle. There's nobody can get out of it. Because if you believe in the oneness and there's only one there, which is in controlling everything, then it's that one who's dreaming, identifying, and then trying to find a way to get out of it, eventually gets out of it, and then disappears. And then again goes back into its original state. And this keeps going on. This is in perpetual motion. So, so Here, the idea was to give it finality. One of the things that I took me a lot of time is that as I read and I tried to decipher what each one was trying to say, it would keep pointing me to something, but it would not give me a clear path to that something. It would not come out and say, look, you don't have to do anything. Take my scripture, take my book and throw it out the window. Until I got to Ramanna, and even Ramanna's self-inquiry, because his teachings were so simple, but because there was a whole structure that was built around it over time, it started to become complicated. If you look at Ramanna's teachings, they're very simple. If you look at every self-realized master's teachings who realized and understood, they all have one sentence. It's all one sentence. Jesus said, I am that I am. Now, if you can truly understand that sentence, that's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else that you have to read in the Bible and go through it. But a whole structure around that has been set up to for whatever reason. Buddhism, same thing. Buddha said it very simply. Here is my eightfold path. These are my four noble truths, and here is my eightfold path. But now you have so many things around it. So my goal was that when I went through all of it, is that I wanted to give in today's thing, simplify it all down and give you that there is a finality. How do I get from understanding to experience? And those practices also, will they get me to something? What is the purpose of all this? You asked me, Anil's asked me, what is the purpose of all this? The purpose of all this is to realize that there is no purpose. But the whole game is on that realization part. The focus is on not on the purpose and the non-purpose. It is on the game is that realization. And that's all you have to do is to realize that this is all irrelevant at the end. Once that sets in, once you got it completely, once it becomes part of your knowing, like as if today you know that you are Srinivas or Poonam or Annie. When you know that there's nothing, now you are ready to enjoy it for what it is. That's all this is about. So this whole book that I've written is only for that purpose. There's no reason. Anil asked me, why are you writing this book? When I was starting this, he says, because your teachings say that eventually there's nothing, then why are you even making an effort to write this book? And the whole thing is to simplify this so that now people in today's day and age can have something and say, okay, this person has done all this, he's read through all this. I want to give you that there is finality. So you're absolutely correct that Srinivas, if you practice, and it will take time, but you have to start. Once you start, I have told you through my own experience, through my own journey, by going through all the mud and the trash and everything, that there is this realization, there is this experience which Anil has had yesterday, even if it was for 10, 15, 20 seconds. And I wish it on all of you because right there, I know individually, I know each one of your circumstances individually, and I know all of you are going through something. But if you can tap into that, there's something there that basically removes. So I tell Anil this a lot of time. Are you looking for one solution to one problem, or are you looking for one solution to all the problems? This is that one solution to all the problems. There is no other one.
Yes, Sri Ashish. Stillness and silence that you talk, definitely it brought clarity to my mind. As you said, it's one solution to all the problems. It helps in uh, overcoming the attachment and how experience appears. Means We may see pleasure or pain in experiences, and also the experience meaning itself changes with time. But this stillness and silence definitely helps mind have the peace and moderation.
Good. Yes, Poonam.
So, thank you so much, Guruji. Uh, this so I'm just trying to a lot of clarity were happening in my mind. So what I am able to understand what you said is, so step by step I would understand. So this is like a dream drama, and through janmas and janmas this has been going on. So we would this body would be dying, and then the soul would take rebirth and whatever form, and then whatever it has to do, it has to do the karma, right? So that's what the dream drama is.
Yeah. So because it's a dream drama, right? So first of all, remember non-dualism. That
Hmm.
means whose dream drama it is. That's step one.
Right.
So if there is only oneness, then this original, whoever it is, we call it, as I said, self, God, pure consciousness, universe, X, Y, Z, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
That starting point is having a dream. So first, that starting point, which was silent and still, has become conscious. Because without becoming conscious, no dream is possible.
Hmm.
Because right? So it has become conscious. This consciousness has appeared in the form as we call it, I am. It's nothing but conscious awareness. That means the self has now become conscious of itself. Now what happens is there has to be a reason why it's become conscious. There's no reason for it to be, but it's become conscious.
Hmm.
And because it's become conscious, it needs to do something, otherwise there's no reason for it to be conscious. So it
Hmm.
begins to start dreaming stuff. Now, while it's dreaming the stuff, it starts becoming identified to that dream.
Hmm.
Now, as it becomes identified, it starts forgetting its original nature
Hmm.
until it goes through its whole cycle of whatever. Now, this cycle of whatever it's going through is what people call karma. But even
Yes.
in this, when you look at from the original state of being, karma itself is irrelevant because it's still happening within a dream drama. Something
Right.
imaginary is, so karma is also imaginary.
Hmm.
Just the way your individuality, there is no individual soul, then there is
Hmm.
no real karma. It's just karma is nothing but cause and effect. And
Right.
that's how the dream drama is structured upon. The script is written on
Hmm.
a structure of cause and effect. Something, a thought is a cause, and that
Hmm.
thought is played out in terms of energy and body called effect. So this
Right.
whole structure of cause and effect has been classified as karma
Right.
because bodies are showing up, something is
Hmm.
happening as instruments.
Hmm.
Now, what happens is the reason why this reincarnation is happening is when consciousness gets identified with a destructible instrument called body,
Hmm.
it imbibes an apprehension. Because it's identified, it starts believing that it is destructible itself because it's
Hmm.
forgotten its original nature, which is indestructible. So,
Hmm.
in order to get out of it, it keeps going
Taking
on,
birth. Hmm.
keeping taking birth till it comes to a realization that wait a minute, I'm indestructible. What the hell am I doing here?
Hmm.
Once that realization sets in, it then says, oh, what a relief. I'm actually not
Hmm.
destructible. I'm indestructible. So I really have no reason. So now I can enjoy it for what it is, as indestructible. Now,
Hmm.
once it takes that, at some point it says, okay, then there is no real relevance because actually it's all imaginary. So what's the relevance of this? Hence it goes back from where it had come,
Okay.
right? So, but at the end of the day, it's still the self. The original state is doing all this. So it's only at different points, because it's being identified at different points as something different. It's called different things, but it's the same thing. When it's
Hmm.
when it's silent and still, it's called pure awareness or Parabrahman
Hmm.
or Sat. When it is conscious, it's called Satchit or Satchit Ananda, because now it's
Hmm.
conscious, or pure conscious awareness or pure consciousness. When it's identified with mind body and, with ego, mind body, or this whole, triad or cause and effect, it's called sensory awareness, or it's called
Hmm.
creation, or it's called nature. But same thing has got three different names, but it's one and the same.
Hmm. Okay.
I
So
have a comment.
go ahead, Srinivas.
Yeah. Poonam ji, if we see, we cannot hold on to our body and mind or our memories. We know the impermanence means our inability to hold on to our experiences also. Experiences means our kids, our childhood, everything is transitory and we are not able to hold on to them, right?
Right.
So that is a suffering for all of us, because when things are changing, we know that they are not permanent, and that's why we have these questions. If not, we won't be asking these questions, because they are there available for us. We know that they won't be there available for us at some point. All the things that we accumulate, including the body and the mind, means whatever awareness you have today, you know that for certain you will be losing that as the body passes, because mind dissolves along with the body, right? So the
Right.
suffering is from that, and Guruji is making us aware that things that we are feeling are not permanent. That's all I believe. At least in this life, if we can recognize that the things that we are trying to hold on to and grasp, or cling on to, if we realize that we cannot hold on to them, and if we can let go them, we'll be happy. Like a kid being born to us, we don't know where from the kid is arriving, and we know that we are not, we don't have the skill to create a new life, but we feel the ownership. How long we can feel the ownership? See, well, the problem is coming from ownership, I feel. Yeah, that's all,
Hmm.
Guruji. Sorry for taking time.
So, Poonam, the whole funny part is, isn't it a joke that something
Yes.
imaginary has dreamt up something imaginary, and we're
Hmm.
all hung up to this thing? And he's right. It becomes ownership because the thoughts, that the first thought which comes up, right? Because you need an identifier, something that is the bridge between pure consciousness and the dream drama is the identifier, is called your ego, which is imaginary. It's not there. It's also dreamt up. That identifier suddenly takes ownership of everything. So the
Right.
question, the self-inquiry, the practice is again, who am I? Is of these three words is the whole crux of this thing. Because that I is what is in question.
Hmm.
Is that I this individual Poonam which has attached itself to all this nonsense? Or is that I the original state of your consciousness, what we call I am? So once you realize that that I is nothing but I am, because anything out of that, anything after that has got no substantial existence. It's all made up. It's all make-believe.
Yes, got it. Got it.
So
Thank
to
you.
find purpose in something make-believe, to find meaning in something make-believe, it's a joke, right? It's make-believe.
Yes, yes, it's make believe. And I'm just adding on to it with the awareness which happened is, so that's how we talk about Ramchandra ji. We talk about Rama, that he was able to forgive Ravana because he was at that consciousness level and he could understand that it's a dream drama and all the characters are playing their role. So there is no pap, no punya. There is,
Nothing. Correct.
there's nothing. So there's
Nothing.
nothing because everybody is playing their own roles and parts.
Yeah, and they're not in control of it because at the back
And
end, there's only one.
right.
Non-dualism, at the back end of all the characters and all the things, it's still one only.
Hmm.
So
Right.
you're not even the actor. You're the character. It's like Sholay. You're not even Amitabh Bachchan. You're Jai Vijay. You have no
Yes.
locus standi. Now suddenly Jai Vijay is thinking, look, I am the one, I've got ownership of all. I'm going to write my own script. I'm going to do something else. It's only a cause of suffering only, no?
Hmm.
Because he's now frustrated. He can't change anything. You can't. You want to,
Hmm.
right? I'm sure Sanjeev Kumar didn't want his hands chopped off in Sholay for his
Yes.
character. Right? But that's the script. It's all make believe. It's all imaginary. We all hung up on something imaginary. We all get identified with it. We are all holding on to it, holding on to. But that is required. Self-preservation, ego and the mind. Their job is to self-preserve. Because without that, creation is not possible. This dream drama is not possible. Two opposing forces, attraction
Hmm.
and repulsion. That's how matter is created also, right? One is
Right.
trying to go back to its original nature. The other is
Hmm.
pulling towards
Hmm.
creation. When one overcomes the other, if repulsion is more, you're identified and creation is there. When attraction towards spiritual unity is more, reality kicks in.
Hmm.
That's all. Same force, just attraction and repulsion. That's all. Okay, I
Wow.
think we are coming. We are already 11:44. So for today, should we end it here?
Yes. Thank you so much. I believe I. Okay. So okay, I need to lower my hand.
Lovely. Any other things, or should we end it here?
Just want to say thank you for the session.
Oh, you're most welcome, Annie. All right. Okay. So I'm thinking of doing this every 2 weeks. Let's get back into. I think the more we, at least for you guys who come regularly, I think it's important. The more we do, I think the more it will sink in, and the more it sinks in, the more it's better. So every 2 weeks we'll meet. I'll start this now, at least for the next few months. Let's do every 2 weeks, and we'll see. We'll go from there. Yeah. Lovely. Have a wonderful
Good.
day, guys. Okay.
Thank
Bless you
you.
all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.